And I hope you can see already my course content. I hope already I shared. So, so let me open one more time, and even I will start the recording also. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the course what we are going in next 2 months. Okay. So mostly 2 to 2.5 months, we will try to finish this one. And what I can see as per your earlier working experience, already you know the basics of finance and the basics of the softwares and all. I hope you know, and already you worked since this application. So it's very easy to me to explain these are all things to you as well. And here in this course content, majorly we will start with the enterprise structure. So this is the first topic. So in this topic, so especially, so if you want to implement any SAP application, and before that, I hope you know, see, SAP is a ERP software, so the enterprise resource planning software, and the SAP have some end-to-end solution to the client. So usually, if you consider any business, again globally we have three type of businesses like manufacturing business, retail business, service business. So if you consider any business, again we have a different type of business processes. Like if you consider the manufacturing business, we have a some procurement functions, and later we have some production, and later we have some sales function. So likewise, so every business have different functions and different some rules, different some departments and all. So the SAP will supports to all the functions to support all the departments into any enterprise across the global. I hope you knows. But the point is, so whenever you used this SAP application, so into any function, so again in SAP, we knows basically we have two type of modules. One is the technical module, and the second is the functional module. And again, in technical modules, we have ABAP, so which is very helpful to write the code inside the program. And we have some other technical modules also like BODS, BTP, or some security or basis. So that and all. And when it comes to the functional modules, again, we have the different functional modules, whatever you said, like finance, controlling, sales and distribution, materials management, warehouse management, extended warehouse management, and we have PP, production planning, and we have quality management. So likewise, we have a different functional modules. So in SAP, if you want to learn any functional module, or if you want to go with any functional module, so first we need to understand the enterprise structure of that respective functional module. So where it comes to our finance also, before we starts our finance activities into the SAP application, so we need to maintain some enterprise setup into the system. Like what do you mean by company, and what do you mean by company code? And this company code we need to assign to the company. So we need to define some functional area, some FM area, or some we need to define some credit control area, or we need to define some business area. So likewise, so before we start our finance functions, so first we need to maintain these are all enterprise structure elements into the system, and later we are going with the original finance activities. And where it comes to the original finance activities, so it starts with the general ledger accounting in finance. Again, if you understand the manual accounting process also, so we have a some accounting cycle, right? So we have a general entries, and later we have ledgers, and later we have to prepare the financial statements. So likewise in SAP also we can follow same structure. There is no much difference between the manual accounting and SAP finance accounting also. But the thing is, so the SAP is a ERP software, and here we will maintain some different way. So ultimately, the final goal to implement the finance application into the any business, the ultimate final goal is two things only. One, we need to maintain the bookkeeping, whatever you said until now. So you maintain daily, day-to-day business transactions, and you maintain the business transactions, and we maintain so that transactions like R2R, P2P, O2C, these are all. That is the first activity. And based on that first activity, so the final objective is we need to prepare the financial statements at the time of year end, like balance sheet, trading balance, sorry, some balance sheet and the income loss or statement. That is our ultimate goal. So to achieve that goal, so we will start this SAP application. So especially in the finance side, we will start with the general ledger accounting. So in this general ledger accounting chapter is helpful to write the general entry into the system. So the very important point is in manually, we knows in manual accounting process, we write the journal entry based on the golden rules of accounting. And before that, we need to know the type of accounts like the personal account, real account and nominal account. So based on that account, so we have some golden rules like what comes in, sorry, where it comes to the personal account, debit the receiver and credit the giver. And where it comes to the real account, what comes in and what goes out credit. And when it comes to the nominal account, debit all expenses and losses and credit all incomes and gains. Whatever the golden rules we followed and whatever we write the general entry in the manual process, but same things we need to implement into the SAP application. But again, so the SAP application is a globally supported application. This is not supported to the India, or this is not supported to any specific country as well. It supports entire global, entire world. So you can see anywhere the SAP application is there. So because of that, so maybe some treatments of accounting or some treatment of finance in the SAP, we can see small differences as well. So in that case, so to write the general entry into the system, and the main difference between the manual accounting and the SAP accounting. See, in manual accounting, we will write the journal entries and we will maintain the entries in the ledger and we will prepare the trial balance and balance sheet or whatever it is. But when it comes to the SAP application, so we will not maintain all these things. Why? Because that is the reason only we used this accounting software, right? So here in the SAP application, just we post the general entry instead of writing the general entry. So we called as posting of general entry. Once we posted the general entry, automatically the system needs to prepare the ledgers and the system needs to prepare the P&L account and the system needs to prepare the balance sheet and the remaining financial statements as well. So how this system is maintain those things within the help of the general entry. So because of that, before we posted any general entry into the system, so we need to maintain some prerequisite settings into the system. Usually that prerequisite settings only we call as a general ledger prerequisite settings. So usually in SAP, before we posted the any general entry into the system, we need to know these are all prerequisite settings. Like we will start with the chart of accounts. So again, the chart of accounts is nothing but list of GL accounts. I will explain you whenever the topic comes. I will explain very clearly what is this one and all. And later we need to maintain some account groups as well. So especially, so whenever we can see the GL accounts into the system or GL accounts into the business, usually the business have a multiple GL accounts, right? So to easy our understanding or to our easy convenience, so even we can maintain that GL account. Similar nature of GL accounts we are grouping into the account groups. So the best example is expenses is one account group, our incomes is one account group, our assets is one account group, liabilities is another account group. So likewise, for our easy understanding to maintain the financial statements, we are grouping to the list of some nature, same nature of GL accounts as well. So that one also we need to maintain here. And later we need to going with the retained earnings account as well. We need to maintain some P&L account. So again, we need to maintain some retained earnings account as well. And we need to maintain some tolerances into the GLs posting. So before we posted the GLs, if you want to control the GL postings as well, so we can control it with the help of these tolerances. And we need to maintain the field status variant also. Whenever if you want to post any transaction into the SAP application, if you want to control the fields of that particular transaction, we can control it with the help of field status variant itself. And even we need to maintain the fiscal year. So the fiscal year is nothing but the financial year in English. and the fiscal term, it is nothing but German term. So whenever you want to maintain any finance into the any business, so obviously we have some financial year. So in India, so the financial year starts with the April to March, and USA it starts with the January to December. And do you have any idea? So the financial year of Australia,
No
Giri
idea.
or Rakshana?
No idea.
No, I have no clue.
So July to June,
Okay.
Australia financial year. And what about Arab countries? Any idea in Arab countries, the financial year?
I think Jan to December only.
No. So some of the Arab countries they followed October to September.
Okay.
Mm.
So basically globally we have four type of fiscal years across the global. So one is yes. So the most of the countries they followed the calendar year like January to December. But you can see in India we have April to March, and Australia they followed July to June, and some Arab countries they maintain the October to September as well. So likewise in the globally we have majorly four type of fiscal years only. So that fiscal years for how we will maintain in the system and how the system recognize. So these points and all also we need to maintain, and even so we need to maintain the open some close posting periods also. So usually we will maintain the accounts by the month wise, so in every application. Again in the SAP we don't call it as a month, we need to call it as a period. And simply so that period we call as a posting period. Again in SAP we have a two type of periods, one is the normal posting period and the special posting period as well. So I will explain you what is this normal posting period and a special posting period and what is this differences as well also. And the next we are discussing about the document types as well. So whenever we posted any transactions, so all transactions is not same in the finance. Whenever we posted some rent related transactions, so whatever the required options to maintain the rent transaction, the required fields is different. Whenever we want to post some asset accounting posting, so again the required postings is different. And whenever you want to post any some materials related posting, again the required fields is different. So these type of things how we can control or how we can maintain in the SAP with the help of the document types concept. So that one also we need to go in deeply. And the next one is the document number ranges as well. So we know if you post any general entry or if you post any entry into the SAP application, so obviously the system provides the one number to the document. So that is the very, very important. So any document, if you post any document in SAP, either it is GL posting or accounts payable posting or material posting or any posting, so the system generates the number range. So how the system generates that number range automatically? So we need to maintain some setup. So that setup we need to know as part of this topic. And again, so we know, so when it comes to the finance part, so the very important point is, so we need to connecting to the controlling module as well. So the
Mm.
controlling module is nothing but cost accounting in our general terminology. But in SAP terminology, we need to call as a controlling. So the very important point is whatever the entries we posted in the finance, so same entries only we need to post to the controlling module as well. Why? Because the controlling module, the main objective is to control the cost, to increase the profit. So that is the main motive of the cost accounting module. Why the companies is maintain the cost accounting? Okay, we know the basics, and later you need to know so the accounting principles as well. So we know so every country so they followed their own accounting principles. In India we have followed the India gap, so general accepted accounting principles, and even we followed the IFRS also, international financial reporting standards. So likewise in every country they followed their own accounting principles. So their accounting principles is also very, very important while we prepare the financial statements. If you prepared financial statements, then we need to follow some India gap or some IFRS. Or if you prepared some UK country some financial statements, that time we need to follow the UK accounting principles. So that things also you need to know. And the next point, we need to know the ledgers. So this is the crucial part in our SAP finance accounting. So why? Because here we have a different ledgers concept in SAP. If you see the SAP, we have different ledgers concepts is introduced already. So golden days, they called as classical ledger, and later they turned into the new GL, so new general ledger accounting, and later nowadays we call as a SAP S4 HANA ledgers. So again in the SAP S4 HANA ledgers, we have a different type of ledgers like standard ledger, extension ledger, simulation ledger. So likewise, we have different ledgers. So based on the business requirement, we need to maintain that ledgers as well. So apart from this, even you can see the some controlling related some basics things also we need to maintain before we post the general entry into the finance part. Why? Because already I told you, whatever the finance entry we posted in the finance module, so same entry we need to maintain in the controlling side as well. So because of that, so we need to maintain some prerequisite controlling settings. So in this training, so I am not covered entire controlling. So just I will try to cover 20 to 30% of the controlling. Okay, so in SAP, the finance module is separate and controlling is separate. Both are not same. Okay. So even so in real-time working environment, finance consultants is separate in the projects and the controlling consultants is separately. If your client is maintaining the controlling also, and if your client is a manufacturing client, so obviously they need to maintain some controlling consultants also. But the point is, without integration, without connecting the finance module, there is no controlling module in the SAP. So because of that, what is that the integration point we need to know? Being a finance consultant, how the finance is impacted in the controlling module, we need to know some basics. So that basics also you need to maintain it here. And finally, we need to maintain some ledger settings and some currency settings. And even we know in SAP, so basically earlier we called as SAP ECC, that is Enterprise Central Component, but nowadays in 2015, so the SAP is introduced SAP S4 HANA. So especially we can see some changes between the ECC application to the SAP S4 HANA. And I hope so ECC and SAP S4HANA both are same only, both are not completely different. But the point is, from the ECC point of view, so the SAP S4HANA have some additional features, some additional the latest changes according to the latest trend of the IT, like the cloud computing, or the latest innovations from the business information system side. So the S4HANA is added some new features, some new advantages, and some new benefits. The S4HANA is not completely new. So the S4HANA is also developed based on the ECC application only. But while you are comparing to the ECC to the SAP S4HANA system, S4HANA have some additional points, some additional benefits, some additional features. Okay, so especially even in this training, so I will tell you what is the difference between ECC to SAP S4HANA as well. Why? Because while we attended the interview, even while we working in the SAP environment, also we have some a little bit confusion regarding the changes happened between ECC to SAP S4HANA. So anyway, as per my understanding, that is very easy to understand these changes as well. And especially the ledgers is the major change between the ECC to SAP S4HANA, the ledgers and the currencies. So currencies also in ECC we maintained maximum three type of currencies only earlier, but in SAP S4HANA it gives to maintain the 10 type of currency types. So that is also major change. So in our upcoming classes, I will tell you these are all things also. And the document splitting as well. So the document splitting is also one of the important feature where we can split the general entries into 2 to 3 line items as well. So before we posted the general entry into the S4 HANA system, so obviously, so we need to maintain the document splitting related some settings as well. So once it is done, so finally we will maintain the general entries. So whatever you posted, so I hope you have good experience. how to post the journal entries, how to park the journal entry, how to hold the journal entry, and once the parking invoice is approved later, how we post that entry into the system. I hope you have good experience. And once we posted the journal entries, again how we will see that journal entry, and the journal entry individual balances or open balances or line item balances, we have different T codes, and we have different reports as well into the SAP application. So that things we need to know. But maybe so in our case, you know how to post the journal entries or how to maintain these things and all, but maybe you don't know before the journal entry posting what things we need to maintain in the system. So being a consultant, so we are the responsible to maintain these are all things. And even these things will helpful to us, like while we are working in the support project, if any one user is unable to try to post the journal entry, or if any one user while he posting, if he get some error, so we need to give the resolution to the end user. So we need to give the resolution to the power user. But before that, if you want to give that resolution, you need to know what is happened background. So because of that, we need to learn. These are all points, whatever I explained. Okay. So anyway, in our training, so we are going slow by slow only. Daily we are taking 1 or 2 points. So daily we have 1 hour session, and within that 1 hour session, so in my training, so I will try to explain you each and every topic. So the importance of the topic and why we learnt this topic. And again, so in the real time cases, how you utilize this topic into the real time projects as well. So likewise, so each and every topic I will try to explain these things only. And even I will give very less importance to the configuration. Why? Because the configuration is just a matter of 5 to 10 minutes only. So even so the 10th class student, intermediate student also maintain this configuration. So that's not a tough thing. But the tough thing is you need to understand why we maintain so and so configuration into the system. What is the impact? If I maintain wrongly, then what happened? And if some user is getting some issue regarding so and so configuration, then how we need to resolve it that issue. So this type of analytical thinking is required being a consultant. Okay, so you don't bother about the configuration, and even the configuration whatever I'm telling, the 2 months of duration, if you sit one day, so you can do all the configuration within one day itself. That's not a issue. But the point is you need to understand the conceptually why we maintain so and so concept, and what is the link, and what is the impact into the system. So these are all points we need to know. And once the general ledger accounting is completed, so later we are going with the accounts payable. So this is the third chapter, I can say. And again, the ECC and SAP S4HANA point of view. So earlier the business partner. So we have only some applications in FSCM module and all. But when it comes to the SAP S4HANA, so to maintain the business partner, so they maintain as a mandatory into the sales and distribution module, and as well as the materials management module. So whenever we try to create any customer master data or any vendor master data, so before that, we need to create the business partner into the system. And within the business partner itself, we need to maintain the customer master data and vendor master data. This is the major change from the ECC to SAP S4HANA. So why they are putting this major changes? So the reason is earlier in ECC, we faced a lot of reconciliation issues be- because of we maintained some customer master data in SD module, and we maintained BP in FSCM module. But the transactions while they are doing, and while we are collecting amount from the customers as part of the collection management in FSCM, so there they maintain as a master data as BP element, and here they maintain as a customer master data. So that time we have lot of issues. So because of change of the master data in BP level or in the customer master data level. Why? Because this changes is not reflected immediately into the opposite element. So because of that, so we have a lot of reconciliation issues in ECC applications. So to avoid that reconciliation issues in the SAP application, the SAP S4HANA comes with the new solution. So we need to maintain business partner as centrally, And within the business partner, we need to maintain the customer master data and vendor master data. So I will tell you in upcoming classes what is this logics and how we will understand this one also. And SAP S4HANA, the finance training perspective, especially in accounts payable and accounts receivable module, the very important change is the business partner. Okay. So again, the business partner. So before we created the vendor master data, so we need to maintain some settings which is related to the business partner. And once we maintain the settings, we need to define some vendor account groups, and we need to maintain some number ranges for the vendor account groups, and we need to define some number ranges for the BP. So we need to integrate the BP module, business partner to vendor. So these are all things we need to maintain. And even the very important point is the reconciliation account. I hope you know what do you mean by reconciliation account, which is very, very important and it plays the key role. So especially whenever we talking about the main ledger and sub ledger concept, so instead of we are disclosing all the vendor balances into the balance sheet, so just we maintain as a accounts payable. So within the accounts payable again, so it is linked to individual vendors. So with the help of reconciliation account. So in upcoming classes, we can see what is this reconciliation account and how it is connected to the accounts payable to the individual vendors as well. And later we are going with the bank accounting. That is the fourth chapter. And we know so the importance of the bank accounting nowadays. So in every business without bank, so there is no business. Am I correct? So even individuals also we maintain 2 to 3 bank accounts. For savings, one bank account we maintain, and salary we maintain another bank account. So likewise, so where it comes to the business point of view as well, the business also maintain a different type of bank accounts for their different business operations. So that bank accounts how we maintain into the SAP application, and originally how the payments is happened into the SAP application, and these things also we need to learn as part of this chapter, the bank accounting. And especially here in SAP, we have a very, very important program that is automatic payment program. So whenever we want to make the payments to the vendors at a time, so if I want to make the payment to the 5,000 vendors, 10,000 vendors, or 20,000 vendors, we have a solution in SAP. So that is the automatic payment program. So that program which is very helpful to make the payments automatically. So that point also we need to explain very clearly in this training. And even so, we need to know some Fiori information also in the SAP S4HANA. So the Fiori apps is introduced by the SAP. So this is also a major change I can say. In ECC we don't have the Fiori apps. I called app. Fiori is a apps. So even we can install this Fiori apps in mobiles or in tablets or in our laptops or anywhere we can install it, and anywhere we can use it. So whatever you posted the general entries into your system in ECC systems, so even that entries we can post in the this apps itself, the Fiori apps. So that is also a major change. But in our training, so I will try to show you, especially the bank master data we will maintain through Fiori app only. So that time I will show you, and some Fiori apps also I will show you how we will maintain the data in the Fiori. Not entire Fiori, just 20 to 30%. And next, the accounts receivable chapter. So in accounts receivable, especially the customers handling in the O2C cycle, the order to cash cycle, the sales order and delivery billing and amount received from the customer. So that time how we are collecting amount from the customer, and the very important the FISD integration, how the FISD integration is happened. So these are all points. So we need to learn as part of this accounts receivable. And even the major change between the accounts payable and accounts receivable is in accounts payable we used the vendor and we need to make payment to the vendor. And when it comes to the accounts receivable, we have a customers and we received the amount from the customers. So apart from this, remaining all are same only, accounts payable and accounts receivable. So in our course training, so again, how to create the customer Same concept before we create the customer in SAP S/4HANA, we need to create the business partner. So later only we can create the customers. So that and all also I will explain you. And the next chapter, so the complex chapter in our entire training, so that is the asset accounting. So we know the importance of the assets in every business. So without assets, obviously there is no business. So within the assets only, business have get some revenue, and within that revenue, again the business have some expenses, and finally the business have some profit or loss. So the major key role plays by the assets. So if you want to generate any income to the business, obviously we need the assets. So again the assets, we have a fixed assets, we have a current assets, we have tangible assets, we have intangible assets. And if you consider the asset life cycle again, so we are purchasing one asset and we need to calculate the depreciation while we are using that asset. Obviously we need to calculate the depreciation, and once the asset lifetime is done, so we need to sell that asset, or we need to call as retirement of asset. So these scenarios also how we handle the SAP application. So we are going one by one point. So we need to maintain many settings into the system. And finally, we posted the general entry related asset accounting related postings as well. And apart from this, so the FIMM integration, so the very, very important. Why? Because if you consider the procure to pay cycle, usually the procure to pay cycle starts with purchase requisition, purchase order, goods receipt, invoice receipt, and payment to vendor, and finally BRS. So whatever I said, the first four functions like purchase requisition, purchase order, goods receipt, and invoice receipt. So these four functions is responsible by the consultants in the SAP application, and payment to vendor and BRS, these two functions is responsible by the finance team. So because of that, so we need to connecting these two modules. So we need to connect so module to the finance module in the SAP, and this connection only we call as in general in SAP terminology we call as a integration. So the very important in finance, so we have a FICO integration, we have a FIMM integration, we have a FISD integration, and we have a FIHR integration also. But in our course content, so we will try to cover three integrations: FICO, FIMM, and FISD. Okay. So in FIMM integration, so again we need to maintain these are all settings to integrate our finance module. And regarding to the material ledger as well, so in FIMM integration, so earlier in ECC application, my dear friends, so to activate the material ledger is a optional. But when it comes to the SAP S/4HANA, to activate the material ledger is a mandatory. So this is also change between the ECC to SAP S/4HANA application. So mandatorily we need to activate the material ledger. So before we are going with the FIMM integration, so that points also we will see how to activate this material ledger and all. And later we are going with the FISD integration as well. Whatever I said earlier, FIMM at the same time FISD also. If you observe the O2C cycle, it starts with again the sales order, or before that inquiry, quotation, sales order, delivery, billing, and incoming amount from the customer, and BRS. So again, so some of the functions is performed by the SD, and the remaining functions is performed by the finance. So because of that, again we need to connect our finance module to the customer SD module. So here we need to learn from this topic FISD integration, how this integration is happened in the real time. And again, so we need to maintain these are all settings as part of FISD integration. And finally, so I will tell you what do you mean by COPA and what do you mean by product costing. Just what is what, just 10 to 20%, and we will conclude this training. Okay, this is my course plan. And apart from this course, even so, I have some videos in my YouTube channel as well. I will share that YouTube channel link to you also. Like in that channel, so I maintain some videos which is helpful to crack the job in the SAP and to work to do job in SAP. So that and all. So I will share in our upcoming classes. So any doubts from this training content perspective?
As of now, none. I think Rakshana has some system problem. I guess she has
Oh,
uh,
okay. When
maybe
she left?
just now she left. I just saw her 30 seconds back.
Okay,
She was, but at least for last 2 3 minutes, she's having
okay,
issues. If I'm right, she's just texting me. Yeah, she's saying I'll join back.
okay, okay. So
She's
anyway,
saying I'll.
daily class I recorded, Giri. So
Mm,
and even you
yeah.
can download the daily session in our chart itself.
Okay.
Separately, I'm not providing any recording to you. So that is your responsibility to download daily classes from this chart. Okay.
Sure.
So
When we
daily,
download it, it can get saved in my local system, right?
exactly, exactly, exactly.
Fine. Fine. Fine.
And my personal request is even if you attended the daily session also, so please download the session and please put into one folder.
Yep.
So why? Because from daily session it is very easy to understand. Why? Because I will tell daily one point only. But when we are going with the aggregation part, like if the entire training is completed, so maybe you have some issues, so and so some topics also. Why?
We
Because
can
some
go back and
topics,
check.
yeah, yeah. So while you practiced, you can go back and you can check in that video what I said in that videos. Okay.
Sure. Sure. Just
Yeah.
wanted to check with you, maybe as have ever had people who are, I'm not mentioning the word, but still using the word, seniors like me attending the session with you, who come up
Mm, yeah,
with,
yeah, 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 yeah,
okay.
yeah. I
And
not only your experience, even 27, 32 years of experience, people also attended my sessions.
then
See,
what they did later and all, like there are some roadmap for them also, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Sure.
See, once they attended my sessions, especially from the US and the UK people, so they claim some 10 years, 15 years of working experience in SAP, and later they changed their designation. So what
Designation.
happened, we know, right, Giri, in the end user's point of view or in the business point of view, so the salaries is very less,
Yep.
but when it comes to the consulting point of view, so we will get a good salary.
Mm, mm.
Okay, so once they attended my sessions, even so they go with their profession into like some senior consultant or solution architect or team lead. So I will tell you. So I will try to guide you as well.
Sure.
So yeah. So
So just
definitely this
just
training
just
is
wanted to know.
helpful to you, like regarding to know the SAP S/4HANA functionality and the whatever the submodules we have and each and everything what we need to know. So that and all is very helpful to you.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Done.
Yeah. Yeah. So any doubts?
No, I'll go through this. Maybe I'll a bit of going through, means attending the session, and maybe once go through the recording once again to like have as a brush up. Then
Yeah.
I'll come up any, if any questions are there, or any questions I'll raise it immediately. Maybe only one thing came up during the session was like the difference between finance and control. That the difference, like uh,
I will tell you, Giri. I will tell
mm,
you.
sure.
That's a big topic. That's
Yeah.
not a easy thing. So
Mm,
anyway, in general ledger accounting, so when I am going with the FICO integration, so that time anyway I need to tell that point. So what we did exactly in finance and what we did in controlling. So that time I will clearly explain you.
sure.
Okay, it's not 2 minutes or 5 minutes explanation. So obviously we need to go 2 to 3 hours. So that time I will explain you briefly.
Sure. So the roadmap will be almost, we started this in 28 now, but we can consider as we started it in November,
Yeah.
considering 2.5 months of training by
So I
mid.
hope so we will try to complete so 31st December itself.
Okay.
So not more than that. Why? Because as per my understanding, I hope you don't need some basic level of explanation or what happened in the business
Yeah.
perspective. So I hope so that one. So I don't need to explain. But usually in my regular training, so I have a students from who they recently completed their graduation, BCom or MBA. So even so, they are not go with the good finance skills also. So just they write the BCom exam, so they passed their examination. At that time, usually, so I need to explain each and everything. So the fundamentals of finance. So 1 week I need to take the sessions. So
Mhm.
I hope for both of you, so that is not
That's not
required.
required. That's not
Yeah,
required.
yeah. Even whenever I started any topic, so for that batch, so I need to explain differently. Why? Because they didn't understand. If I said directly, so and so, then they are got some little bit confusion. But
Yeah. Yeah.
for both of you, I hope you knows already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what it is. So then this is very easy to me, and we will try to finish 31st December itself.
Sure.
Okay, and if you cooperates also, so we are going with some long sessions and weekends, and
Sure.
we will try to finish as early as possible.
Possible. Yes.
That's your requirement only for me, so there is no issues.
Sure. Sure, Bobby. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
And
Rakshana.
one more thing I wanted to ask, like,
Yeah.
sorry for my voice. Are we having classes and the practice sessions as well? How will it go?
Yeah. So
Mm.
basically, so this training, so I will explain the theory first of all, and
Mm-hmm.
later I will show you each and every configuration. So I will maintain each and everything into the system. So this is not a theoretical explanation sessions and all. So
Mm.
first I will explain theory, and later I will maintain each and every configuration, and I will show you. And
Okay.
I will give you the material as well. So in that material, each and every so things, I will maintain each and every screenshots as well. You need to practice by your own. Okay, so we
Okay.
will give you the server access, whatever the server I explained to you. So the S4HANA 2022. So same server access I will provide both of you. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to go that server, and whatever I explain and whatever I maintain in the system, you also need to maintain. Okay,
It's
and while
just a
you are
kind of homework that we need to do from
yeah,
now.
yeah, exactly. So while you are doing that practice, if you get any error or if you get any problem, so then you can reach out to me. So I will
Okay.
available in WhatsApp. Just you need to take that screenshot, error screenshot and all, and I will tell you the resolution itself.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So even from your side also you need to put some efforts. So
Yep.
what I said, my responsibility is 30 to 40% only to get knowledge from your side. So
Mm-hmm.
I will explain you, but from your side you need to go to what I explained, and you need to read that material, and you need to practice that things into the system. And by your side also you need to put some efforts. Okay, so otherwise, so this training is not helpful to you as well. So at
Yeah,
least you need
definitely.
to spend 30 minutes to 1 hour time apart from our training time. So you need to just go through that documentation and go through that system, and you can maintain same things. Whatever I maintained in my system, you need to maintain from your side. Then you feel more better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
yeah,
Agree.
yeah. So any doubts?
No, as of now, none from my side.
Yeah, nothing from my side as well.
Yeah, yeah.
When we
So
start to do hands-on, I think we'll get in touch with you more.
yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Any doubts, you are always welcome. So even so, not only after the session, so basically, whenever you have any doubt or whenever you have query, so you can ask at any time in our class itself. Okay, so I
Yeah.
don't say after the session only you can ask the doubts. I don't say like that. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever you have, and in our experience also you have different opinion, or you feel whatever I said that is different in our case, so you can discuss with me also. So
Sure.
even that is helpful to me as well. So
Mm.
why? Because earlier I didn't worked as a end user, or I didn't worked in the business side. So mostly my experience, I worked into consulting part, but I know what happened in the business side. Why? Because we are the implementing and we are giving the complete resolution to the business. But even so, if you have any, so the healthy discussion, so I will always welcome. Okay. So we are
Okay.
going forward like that.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, Gopi.
Okay. So thank you for joining today's session. So tomorrow we will connect at 9 p.m. IST.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you.
Thank you.
much.
Good
Thank you.
Good
night.
night.
Yeah. Good night.